In the year 4578, Earth stood as a testament to resilience and ingenuity, a jewel in the vast cosmos. The planet had endured millennia of challenges, from natural cataclysms to self-inflicted wounds, yet humanity had always found a way to adapt and thrive. By this time, Earth was not merely a home for humans, but a hub of interstellar diplomacy and technological marvels. The planet's surface was a blend of sprawling megacities and carefully preserved natural landscapes. Towering skyscrapers pierced the sky, their surfaces shimmering with solar panels and bioluminescent flora. These cities were interconnected by networks of hyperloops and hovercraft lanes, allowing for seamless travel across continents. Meanwhile, vast stretches of wilderness were maintained as sanctuaries for biodiversity, reflecting humanity's renewed commitment to balance with nature. Earth's society was a tapestry woven from the diverse cultures that had persisted through centuries. Language barriers had long since dissolved with the advent of universal translators, fostering an unprecedented era of global unity. The concept of nation-states had evolved into planetary governance, led by the Earth Council, a body composed of representatives from every corner of the globe. This council was tasked with maintaining peace and ensuring Earth's interests were safeguarded in the galactic arena. Technologically, humanity had reached heights once thought impossible. Quantum computing powered artificial intelligences that managed everything from urban planning to healthcare. Advanced nanotechnology allowed for rapid healing and even regeneration of human tissues, while energy needs were met by harnessing fusion and antimatter reactors. Space travel had become routine, with colonies established on Mars and beyond, serving as both scientific outposts and strategic strongholds. Yet, despite these advancements, Earth was not isolated from external threats. The galaxy was teeming with life, some friendly, others indifferent, and a few hostile. Among these were the Zorathians, an enigmatic species known for their mastery of biological manipulation and espionage. Relations with the Zorathians were tense, their motives often shrouded in mystery. They viewed humanity's expansion with suspicion. It was against this backdrop that General Marcus Thorne emerged as a pivotal figure in Earth's defense strategy. A decorated veteran known for his strategic acumen and unyielding resolve, Thorne had become a symbol of human tenacity. His leadership in previous conflicts had earned him respect, not only among his peers but also among Earth's allies across the stars. However, unbeknownst to many, a storm was brewing, a plot that would test the very limits of human endurance and cunning. The Zorathians, seeking to destabilize Earth's burgeoning influence, set their sights on Thorne. They believed that by removing this linchpin from the equation, they could weaken Earth's defenses and sway galactic politics in their favor. But as history would soon reveal, they had gravely underestimated the resilience of humanity and the indomitable spirit embodied by General Thorne. The Zorathian plot was as intricate as it was insidious. They deployed a cadre of their most skilled operatives, masters of subterfuge and biological warfare, to infiltrate Earth's defenses. Their mission: to eliminate General Marcus Thorne through a means so subtle that it would appear as a natural occurrence. They crafted a toxin, a microscopic marvel of alien biochemistry, designed to target Thorne's unique genetic markers, an assassination cloaked in the guise of an unfortunate accident. The plan was executed with precision. During a diplomatic summit on the orbital station Elysium, where representatives from various species gathered to negotiate peace treaties and trade agreements, the Zorathians struck. Disguised as aides to a neutral envoy, they slipped the toxin into Thorne's drink during a ceremonial toast. The poison was slow-acting, intended to erode his health gradually, ensuring that suspicion would not fall upon them. For weeks, Thorne felt the creeping malaise, a persistent fatigue that no amount of rest could alleviate. He dismissed it at first as the toll of his demanding role, but soon the symptoms intensified. His once sharp mind felt fogged, his limbs heavy and unresponsive. Medical examinations revealed nothing definitive. The toxin was expertly engineered to evade detection by human technology. As Thorne's condition worsened, whispers of concern spread among Earth's leadership. The general's absence from critical meetings and his visible decline sparked rumors and unease. Yet, even in his weakened state, Thorne's resolve did not waver. He suspected foul play, but lacked evidence to act upon it. Instead, he focused on delegating responsibilities to his trusted officers while quietly investigating the source of his ailment. Unbeknownst to the Zorathians, their machinations had not gone entirely unnoticed. A young scientist named Dr. Alara Voss, working at Earth's premier research institute, had been studying anomalies in human biochemistry for years. Her work had led her to develop an experimental nanotechnology capable of identifying and neutralizing foreign agents within the human body. When she learned of Thorne's mysterious illness, Voss saw an opportunity to test her invention on a grand scale. She approached Earth's Council with her findings and proposed a radical treatment plan for Thorne, a risky endeavor that could either save him or hasten his demise. With few options remaining and time running out, the Council approved Voss's plan. The procedure involved injecting nanobots into Thorne's bloodstream, microscopic machines programmed to seek out and dismantle the alien toxin at a molecular level. It was an unprecedented gamble, but one that held the promise of not only saving Thorne, but also unmasking the Zorathian plot. As the nanobots coursed through his veins, Thorne experienced an intense battle within his body, a clash between alien malice and human ingenuity. Days passed in uncertainty as his condition fluctuated between moments of clarity and debilitating weakness. But gradually, the tide began to turn. The nanobots worked tirelessly, dismantling the toxin piece by piece until its hold on Thorne was broken. His recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Strength returned to his limbs, and clarity sharpened his mind once more. With newfound vigor, Thorne resumed his duties with a determination fueled by anger and resolve. The Zorathians had underestimated humanity's capacity for innovation and resilience, a miscalculation that would cost them dearly. As Thorne prepared for retribution against those who sought to undermine Earth's stability, he knew this was not just about personal vengeance, but about defending humanity's right to exist unchallenged in the galaxy. The stage was set for a confrontation that would echo across star systems, a testament to human defiance in the face of adversity and a warning to those who dared threaten Earth again. Thorne sat in the dimly lit chamber of his private quarters, the soft hum of the orbital station's systems a constant backdrop. His hands rested on the polished surface of his desk, fingers steepled in thought. The Zorathians had made their move, and now it was his turn. But this would not be a reckless act of vengeance. No, Thorne was a tactician to his core. Revenge would come, but it would be precise, calculated, and devastating. He activated the hollow interface embedded in his desk. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy sprang to life, its swirling constellations and planetary systems casting faint blue light across his weathered face. He zoomed in on Zorathian space, a cluster of systems on the galactic fringe, shrouded in mystery and guarded by formidable defenses. The Zorathians were secretive by nature, their territories rarely visited by outsiders. This secrecy had always been their strength, but Thorne intended to turn it into their greatest vulnerability. The first step was intelligence. Thorne needed to know everything: Zorathian supply lines, military installations, political factions, and most importantly, the identities of those responsible for his poisoning. He summoned his most trusted advisors to a secure war room aboard the station. These were individuals he had handpicked over years of service. Admiral Cale Renwick, a master of naval strategy, Commander Alina Vega, an expert in covert operations, and Dr. Alara Voss, whose nanotechnology had saved his life and who now served as a key asset in understanding Zorathian biology. As they gathered around the holographic display, Thorne outlined his plan. "We've been playing defense for too long," he began, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of fury. "The Zorathians think they can strike at us from the shadows without consequence. It's time we remind them who they're dealing with." Admiral Renwick leaned forward, studying the hologram. "Their fleet is formidable," he said. "Even if we could pinpoint their strongholds, a direct assault would be costly." Thorne nodded. "Which is why we won't strike directly, at least not yet. First, we dismantle their network piece by piece. Supply chains, communication relays, covert operatives. We'll cut them off at the knees before they even realize what's happening." Commander Vega's eyes gleamed with anticipation. "You're talking about asymmetrical warfare," she said. "Sabotage, misinformation, hitting them where they least expect it. Exactly, Thorn replied. We'll use their own tactics against them. They thrive on secrecy and manipulation. We'll exploit that to sow chaos within their ranks. Dr. Voss spoke up next. If we're targeting their infrastructure, I can adapt my nanotechnology for offensive purposes, she said. We could deploy it to disrupt their bioengineered systems, or even infiltrate their data networks. Thorn's lips curved into a grim smile. Good. I want every option on the table. Over the next several weeks, the team worked tirelessly to execute Thorn's vision. Commander Vega led a series of covert missions deep into Zarathian space, using stealth ships equipped with advanced cloaking technology to gather critical intelligence. Her operatives infiltrated Zarathian outposts and extracted data that revealed the locations of key supply depots and communication hubs. Meanwhile, Dr. Voss refined her nanotechnology into a weaponized form, a swarm of microscopic machines capable of sabotaging Zarathian systems from within. These nanobots could infiltrate everything from power grids to biological constructs, rendering them useless or turning them against their creators. Admiral Renwick coordinated with Earth's allied fleets to prepare for larger-scale operations once the groundwork was laid. He devised contingency plans for every possible scenario, ensuring that humanity would be ready to strike when the time came. As reports flowed in from Vega's operatives, a clearer picture of Zarathian society began to emerge. Thorn learned that not all Zarathians supported their government's aggressive stance toward humanity. There were factions within their hierarchy that sought peace or harbored resentment toward their leader's authoritarian rule. This revelation gave Thorn an idea, a way to turn the Zarathians' internal divisions to his advantage. He instructed Vega to establish contact with dissident elements within Zarathian society, offering them support in exchange for intelligence and cooperation. At the same time, Thorn authorized a series of surgical strikes against Zarathian infrastructure using Voss's nanobots and Vega's operatives. Supply depots mysteriously exploded without warning. Communication relays went dark. Entire fleets found themselves stranded as their fuel reserves were contaminated by undetectable agents. The Zarathians were reeling from these attacks, unable to trace their source or mount an effective response. Their once unshakable confidence began to waver as paranoia spread through their ranks. But for Thorn, this was only the beginning. Standing before his assembled advisors in the war room one evening, he issued his final directive. We've weakened them enough to make our next move, he said. It's time we take this fight to their doorstep. The room fell silent as his words sank in. We're going into Zarathian space, Thorn continued, his voice resolute. Not just to retaliate, but to send a message that humanity will not be intimidated or subdued. The plan was bold. Some might even call it reckless. But it was exactly what Thorn had been building toward, an operation that would strike at the heart of Zarathian power and force them to confront humanity's unyielding resolve. As preparations began for this daring campaign, one thing was certain. The galaxy would soon witness what it meant to provoke Earth's defenders, and why no one messed with General Marcus Thorn or his people without paying the ultimate price. The fleet was assembled in silence, a testament to the gravity of the mission ahead. Hundreds of sleek warships, bristling with advanced weaponry and cloaked in cutting-edge stealth technology, hung in formation above Earth like a constellation of vengeance. Each vessel bore the insignia of humanity, an unbroken circle encasing a starburst, symbolizing unity and resilience. This was not just a military operation. It was a declaration to the galaxy that humanity would not be prey. Thorn stood on the bridge of the Resolute, Earth's flagship, and the most advanced warship humanity had ever constructed. Its hull shimmered with adaptive camouflage, and its interior was a marvel of engineering. Every console, every bulkhead designed for efficiency and purpose. From here, Thorn would command the operation that would take the fight directly into Zarathian space. The plan was as audacious as it was dangerous. The fleet would strike at 3 critical targets simultaneously: a major Zarathian military installation orbiting their homeworld, a biolab suspected of producing their advanced toxins, and their central communications hub buried deep within an asteroid field. Each target was vital to Zarathian dominance, and crippling them would send shockwaves through their empire. Thorn's strategy hinged on precision and timing. The fleet stealth systems would allow them to approach undetected, but once the first shot was fired, they would face the full fury of Zarathian defenses. It was a risk Thorn was willing to take. He had no intention of merely surviving this encounter. He intended to win decisively. As the final preparations were made, Thorn addressed his crew and the fleet via a holographic projection. His image appeared on every ship, his voice steady and commanding. "Men and women of Earth," he began, "today we stand on the precipice of history. The Zarathians sought to destroy us from the shadows, but they underestimated our resolve. They thought us weak, divided, but they were wrong." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We are humanity. We have faced extinction before and emerged stronger every time. Today is no different. We do not seek war, but when war is brought to our doorstep, we will answer with fire and steel. This is not just about revenge. This is about ensuring that no one, no species, ever dares to threaten our existence again." A cheer erupted across the fleet as Thorn's image faded. The time for words was over. Now came action. The Resolute led the charge as the fleet entered Zarathian space. The transition from hyperspace was seamless, their arrival masked by advanced cloaking fields that rendered them invisible to enemy sensors. The first target, a sprawling orbital station bristling with weaponry, loomed ahead like a dark sentinel. "Commander Vega," Thorn said, turning to his covert operations specialist who stood at his side on the bridge. "You're up?" Vega nodded sharply and transmitted orders to her operatives already embedded within the station. Months of preparation had led to this moment. Her team had infiltrated Zarathian ranks under false identities and now waited for a signal. Within moments, chaos erupted on the station as Vega's operatives sabotaged key systems from within. Power grids failed, automated defenses turned against their operators, and confusion reigned among the Zarathian forces. It was then that Thorn gave the order to strike. The Resolute unleashed its arsenal, a barrage of kinetic projectiles and plasma torpedoes that tore through the station's defenses with surgical precision. Other ships in the fleet followed suit, coordinating their attacks with devastating efficiency. In less than an hour, what had been one of the Zarathians' most fortified outposts was reduced to smoldering debris. But there was no time to celebrate. The second target, the biolab, was already aware of their presence thanks to emergency transmissions from the station. Thorn knew they would be preparing for an assault. "Admiral Renwick," Thorn said over comms, "take Task Force Alpha and neutralize that lab. I want nothing left standing." Renwick acknowledged with a grim nod before his task force broke off from the main fleet and headed toward the biolab's location. Meanwhile, Thorn focused on the final target, the communications hub hidden within an asteroid field known as the Veil, a treacherous expanse where navigation was nearly impossible due to gravitational anomalies and dense debris fields. "Helm," Thorn ordered, "plot a course through the Veil." The helmsman hesitated for only a moment before responding. "Aye, sir." Navigating the Veil required absolute precision. One misstep could result in catastrophic collisions with rogue asteroids or gravitational traps that could tear ships apart. But Thorn trusted his crew implicitly. They were Earth's best for a reason. As they maneuvered through the Veil's labyrinthine expanse, Dr. Voss worked tirelessly in her lab aboard the Resolute. She had developed a new iteration of her nanobot specifically designed to infiltrate Zarathian communication systems and corrupt them from within. When they finally reached their destination, the massive asteroid housing the communications hub, Thorn wasted no time. "Dr. Voss," he said over comms, "deploy your nanobots." Voss activated her device, releasing swarms of nanobots into space. They moved like a living cloud toward their target, bypassing external defenses undetected before infiltrating the hub systems. Within minutes, chaos erupted across Zarathian space as their communication networks collapsed entirely. Orders went unanswered. Fleets were left directionless. Panic spread like wildfire among their ranks. Thorn watched it all unfold from his command chair aboard the Resolute. For months he had been hunted like prey by these aliens who thought themselves superior. But now they were learning what it meant to face humanity at its best. United, relentless, unstoppable. "This is just the beginning," he murmured under his breath as he stared at the holographic display showing Zarathian forces in disarray. "For General Marcus Thorn, And for humanity, the real battle was only just beginning. The Zarathian response was swift but disorganized. As Thorn had anticipated, the collapse of their communication networks threw them into chaos. Ships scrambled to form defensive lines, but without clear orders, they were vulnerable. Thorn seized the opportunity to press the advantage. "All ships, engage at will," Thorn commanded, his voice echoing through the corridors of the Resolute. "Target their command vessels and disable their engines." The fleet moved as one, a coordinated symphony of destruction. Fighters swarmed from hangar bays, weaving through enemy formations with deadly precision. Larger warships unleashed broadside salvos that tore through Zarathian hulls like paper. The battle was fierce and unrelenting, a testament to humanity's resolve in the face of adversity. Amidst the chaos, Thorn's mind was a whirlwind of calculations and strategies. He knew that despite their initial success, the Zarathians would regroup and counterattack with ferocity. He needed to ensure that when they did, it would be on his terms. "Vega," he called out to his covert operations specialist, who was monitoring the battle from a tactical station nearby. "Status on the dissident factions?" Vega glanced at her console, her fingers dancing over the controls as she accessed encrypted channels. "We've made contact with several key figures," she reported. "They're ready to act once we give the signal." Thorn nodded, satisfaction mingling with urgency in his gaze. The dissident factions within Zarathian society were crucial to his plan, not just as allies, but as a means to destabilize their government from within. "Send the signal," Thorn ordered. "It's time to light the fire." As Vega transmitted the encrypted message, elsewhere in Zarathian space, a different kind of battle was beginning. Dissidents rose up against their oppressors, seizing control of key installations and spreading messages of rebellion across civilian channels. The Zarathian leadership found themselves fighting a war on two fronts, against an external enemy they had underestimated and an internal uprising they had long ignored. Back in the heart of the battle, Admiral Renwick's task force had reached the biolab, a sprawling facility nestled within a heavily fortified asteroid belt. The lab was critical to Zarathian biowarfare capabilities, and its destruction would cripple their ability to produce advanced toxins. Renwick's ships engaged with ruthless efficiency, using pinpoint strikes to disable defensive platforms while minimizing collateral damage. As his forces closed in on the lab itself, Renwick ordered boarding parties to secure vital data and ensure complete eradication of any remaining threats. Meanwhile, Thorn focused on consolidating his gains around the Veil. With Zarathian forces in disarray and their communications severed, he launched a series of feints designed to draw enemy ships into traps where they could be isolated and destroyed piecemeal. The strategy worked flawlessly. One by one, Zarathian vessels fell prey to Thorn's tactical genius until only scattered remnants remained, leaderless and demoralized. As victory loomed closer for Earth's fleet, Thorn knew there was still much work ahead, securing peace terms that would prevent future aggression, ensuring stability among newfound allies within Zarathian society, rebuilding trust among other galactic powers wary of humanity's newfound strength. But for now, for this moment, he allowed himself a brief respite from planning and strategy as he watched his fleet emerge triumphant from what had seemed an impossible battle mere weeks ago. Humanity had faced down its greatest threat yet, and emerged victorious not through brute force alone, but through ingenuity, resilience, and above all else, an unbreakable spirit that refused ever again to be underestimated or subdued by any power in this vast galaxy. And though this chapter was drawing near its end, the story of Earth's rise among stars was far from finished. With the Zarathian forces in disarray and their infrastructure crippled, the tide of battle had decisively turned in favor of humanity. The victory was not just a triumph of military might, but a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. As the dust settled, Thorn knew that the time had come to consolidate these gains and secure a lasting peace. Back on the Resolute, Thorn convened with his advisors to outline the next steps. The immediate threat had been neutralized, but the path forward required careful diplomacy and strategic foresight. The dissident factions within Zarathian society had proven invaluable allies, and Thorn was determined to support their efforts to reshape their government from within. "Admiral Renwick," Thorn addressed his naval strategist, Prepare a contingent to assist our new allies in maintaining order. We need to ensure that the power vacuum doesn't lead to further chaos." Renwick nodded, understanding the delicate balance required. The goal was not to occupy or control, but to stabilize and support those who sought peace. "Commander Vega," Thorne continued, turning to his covert operations expert, "maintain contact with our allies on the ground. We need to ensure that their voices are heard in whatever new government emerges." Vega acknowledged, her role shifting from combat operations to intelligence and diplomacy, a transition she welcomed as part of the broader mission for peace. Dr. Voss, whose technological innovations had been pivotal in turning the tide of battle, was tasked with ensuring that any remaining Zorathian bioweapons were neutralized. Her work would help prevent future threats and build trust between former adversaries. As these plans unfolded, Thorne prepared for a diplomatic summit, a gathering of representatives from across the galaxy. This meeting would be crucial in redefining humanity's role among the stars and establishing new alliances based on mutual respect and cooperation. The summit took place aboard the orbital station Elysium, where months earlier, Thorne had been poisoned. Now, it served as a symbol of rebirth and reconciliation. Delegates from various species arrived, including those from Zorathian factions eager for change. Thorne stood before them, his presence commanding yet approachable. He spoke not just as a military leader, but as a representative of humanity's aspirations for peace. "We have all seen what war can do," he began, his voice resonating with sincerity. "But today, we have an opportunity to forge something greater, a future where cooperation replaces conflict and understanding triumphs over fear." His words were met with nods of agreement and cautious optimism. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's strength. Now it was time to demonstrate its capacity for empathy and leadership. In the days that followed, agreements were reached that would reshape interstellar relations. Trade routes were established. Cultural exchanges were planned. Security pacts ensured that no single power could dominate through aggression alone. For Thorne, this was the culmination of everything he had fought for. Not just survival, but a legacy of peace that would endure long after he was gone. As he gazed out at the stars from Elysium's observation deck, he reflected on how far humanity had come, from a single planet struggling against its own limitations to a respected member of a vibrant galactic community. The journey had been fraught with challenges, but each one had only strengthened humanity's resolve. And though there would always be new trials ahead, Thorne knew that Earth and its people were ready to face them together. In this moment of triumph and hope, General Marcus Thorne allowed himself a rare smile. Humanity had not only survived, it had thrived, and its story among the stars was only just beginning.